Vincent had some hesitations about leaving Sora on his own, but he then reminded himself the boy hosted one of the most powerful spirits in the supernatural realm, and continued his pursuit, which led him to a rundown basketball court that was in desperate need of repair. But what was also in desperate need were the people surrounded in the middle, surrounded by a gang of skeletal bikers. Vincent ducked behind a corner from the building across the court, and with his keen vision took in what was in front of him.
7. 4 guarding people entry on lookout.
Vincent counted, keeping his gun close to his chest.
I would try to pick them out from here, and I could make the shot, but the crowd of people makes me anxious. It only takes one to move one of the humans to the path of my bullet.
Vincent's eyes looked up at the night sky.
I am going to need a bit of help on this one.
Across the street, the crowd of humans lay gathered, trying hard not to show fear that they were praying for their lives. Their captors were getting antsier by the second. One of them even gestured to the group of humans and argued to the others.
Can't we move them into a building or something?
Why the hell would we need to? It's Hell's Highway. No one roams the streets at this time of night.
It's not the people I'm worried about.
What? The writer?
A few of the other bikers gave a shudder.
Boss creamed him last night. He'll do so again. He's on his way right now.
Don't pull that crap with me. The boss only won because of the sunlight. The writer had before that. The boss being here won't matter a damn.
Will you just chill out? You're making this a lot bigger than it needs to be.
Or maybe I'm the only one who is aware of what kind of danger we're in. The writer's nothing to joke about. We can't be. We can't. What the hell is that noise?
That?
The bikers spun around to find Vincent Valentine, perched on top of one of the basketball hoops, staring down at them with his red eyes.
Is back up.
What the?
His words were cut off by the giant swarm of bats that swooped in from the sky, a swarm that covered the court in a blanket of darkness. Even though bats are blind creatures, their eyes glow with the same red hue Vincent's did. Vincent, with his own keen eyes, looked through the crowd before leaping down into the swarm of bats. Once he was in, he moved through the swarm, grabbing the stragglers with his monstrous gauntlet and crushing their skulls in it. He wouldn't dare risk using a gun here. He didn't want to scatter the swarm just yet. As the last biker went down with a crunch, the swarm retreated back into the night sky. Vincent stood among the pile of bikers whose skulls were now bone dust and looked around grimly at his triumph.
That's all of them. You're safe now.
Vincent spoke to the crowd of people.
You need to leave Hell's Highway. Go to the police station or someone you trust.
They may be safe, but you didn't win.
Vincent turned his attention to the one biker he thought the swarm had finished off. It was lying on the ground, barely able to move.
Big words from someone who can barely move.
There are others. More of us rounding up other people. Do you really think you can save them all?
Me? No, I don't think I can.
Vincent responded, lifting his gun to the biker's skull.
But the Ghost Rider can.
Kairi couldn't believe it. Her seemingly foolproof plan was now making her sound like a fool. Now everyone was backing out. She knew he was real. She knew he was.
Guys, please, just wait a few more minutes. If he doesn't come, then we can go home, okay?
That guy?
Namine began hesitantly.
Monster? Whatever it is that saved you last night isn't coming. Also, point out the fact that there are no such things as monsters.
Oh, really?
Behind her was a man wearing a biker's jacket and pants. He had a belt with an assortment of weapons attached to it. The most notable feature of him was the fact that his face was a skull with 2 horns on it. Kane himself. He leered down at Namine, grabbed her neck, and lifted her off the ground.
Namine!
Kairi screamed. She tried to run up and rescue her sister, but she felt someone grab her from behind. She looked around and saw a skeletal biker similar to the last night grab her. She struggled against her captor to no avail. Then suddenly, Tidus came out of nowhere and brought down a baseball bat on her captor's skull, who released her and toppled to the ground.
Tidus! Where did you get that bat?
Did you really think we'd walk into Hell's Highway unarmed?
We?
Kairi looked around and sure enough, Wakka was finishing off the biker that had a hold of Yuffie, while Riku stood in front of Kane with his bat ready to swing.
Let her go.
Kane looked around at his fallen foot soldiers and at Riku, Wakka, and Tidus, who were surrounding him. He looked over at the three of them, holding weapons and trying to be intimidating.
3-on-1, huh? Don't disappoint me.
Kane gave a chuckle and tossed Namine. She crashed against one of the dumpsters where two more of Kane's crew grabbed her. The three boys suddenly gulped as they saw more of Kane's crew come out from the shadows. This distraction, though, allowed Kane to rush forward and knock Tidus back, who hit the ground hard and was grabbed by one of the skeletal bikers.
That distraction cost you.
Tidus!
Riku shouted, running over to Kane and swinging for his back. Kane spun around and grabbed the bat mid-swing. Using impressive strength, he picked up Riku and threw him aside as well.
Nice initiative, but too slow.
Kane stumbled back as Wakka came to him. The stocky, built Jamaican got in some impressive swings while Kane was lecturing. With 3 good swings, he prepared to deliver the last one, when Kane's hand shot out and grabbed Wakka's neck, who dropped the bat as he felt the unnatural strength crush around his neck.
You almost had a chance. Almost. I'd have crushed your windpipe here. But that would be too wasteful.
Kane stood up and slammed Wakka to the ground. The force of the impact knocked all the fight out of him.
Stay down. I think you probably can get up after a blow like that.
Kairi and Yuffie made to move to Wakka when Kane pointed his finger at them.
Don't even. Or I'll kill him. Right now.
With the threat received, Kane gestured to the men who had Namine.
Bring her to me.
No!
Namine!
Leave her alone, you bastard.
Kane paid no attention to their cries as the men dragged Namine over to him, though it was then that Riku said something that stopped them in their tracks.
Take me.
The men stopped. Kane turned, and everyone else's eyes lit up in fear.
Riku, don't!
Leave Namine out of this. Come on. Take me instead.
Kane looked over at Riku and scoffed.
Noble. But I don't think you quite meet the qualities I'm looking for. Though.
The light from the street lamps framed Kane's face. It looked like he was grinning.
Since you made the offer.
He gestured to the biker holding Riku, who forced him to his knees. Kane pulled out a small pistol from one of his holsters and threw it over to the biker, who caught it and pressed the gun to the back of Riku's head.
No!
Riku!
The biker began to squeeze the trigger until a shadow fell upon it. The biker looked up and its eyes sockets widened.
Oh shit!
The dumpster that crushed the skeletal biker had everyone, even Kane, stare dumbfounded. The skull from the biker that intended to end Riku's life bounced rather comically over to the alley, where someone stopped it with his foot. Everyone looked up, and what they saw had Kairi boasting on the inside.
Really? 2 nights in a row? Really?
The Ghost Rider crunched the skull beneath his foot, squishing all the bone dust that remained as he stepped out of the alley and into the parking lot. The bikers who had Namine and Tidus let go, and began to step backwards in fear. Kane spun to them and growled.
Stand your ground!
Yes, by all means, stand your ground. Though it really don't matter. Run, fight, you're all going to die.
That did it. The bikers scurried out of the parking lot and back to the shadows. Kane was quite miffed at this little betrayal, and it showed.
Well, that's fine then. You and me. 1-on-1.
No sunlight to save you this time.
I don't need it.
Yeah, that's right, go ahead. Keep up that macho facade. I am really convinced.
So confident, so sarcastic. But for how long, I wonder?
Probably up to when I'm standing over your charbroiled bones. No. I take that back. I'll still be cracking jokes even then.
For a moment, Kane seemed worried before he brushed it off with a chuckle.
Alright then, Ryder. Let's see which one of us is faster. My guns.
He placed his hands on 2 pistols strapped to his sides.
Or your little chain.
The Ghost Rider flexed his hands on the chain, which was now gathered around his feet. The air was thick with tension as the two stared each other down, like 2 gunners ready to duel at high noon. The humans gathered at the side, caught between wanting to leave and wanting to watch. Then reaction snapped. Ghost Rider swung his chain out as Kane drew his guns. The chain smacked his hands aside and caused him to misfire. The chain then snapped back up and wrapped around Kane's arm. If Kane had hesitated for even a moment, the chain would have ignited him with hellfire. Unfortunately for the rider, Kane did not hesitate. He grabbed the chain and with a yank he pulled the Ghost Rider to him and punched him mid-air. Ghost Rider hit the ground with a groan, turning his head to Kane, who had lifted his large foot, intending to stomp it on his skull. Quickly spinning out of the way, he got to his feet, intending to attack again, when Kane had drew his other 2 pistols and began to fire. Ghost Rider broke into a run as the gun shot out, snapping his chain out for his hands again, only for Kane to dodge them and keep up the fire. Kane gave a grunt and threw his guns aside, grabbing to his side for a sawed-off shotgun, but he didn't get a chance to fire. The Ghost Rider, the exact moment he heard the bullets run dry, rushed up to Kane, his hands burning bright with hellfire. As Kane was drawing his shotgun, the rider suddenly dropped to his knees and slid between his legs, releasing a massive burst of hellfire as he slid past him. Kane soared straight up into the air, leaving a trail of smoke behind him. Getting back up on his feet, the rider shot his chain out to him. It wrapped around his leg and had him stop mid-air. Ghost Rider grasped the chain with 2 hands, and with a mighty heave, he brought the chain straight down. Kane hit the ground on the other side of the parking lot with a massive crash.
Holy shit!
Everybody stopped and turned as meek little Namine uttered out a word no one would expect her to. Even Ghost Rider turned his head in her direction. Her face went red with embarrassment and her eyes went downward.
I am sorry.
Jesus, did Namine just curse? What, is the world ending now?
Guys, I think it's about time she did. I was beginning to worry if she was an actual human or not. Yuffie! Hey, just saying what everyone's thinking.
The sad part is, even I'm a little proud of myself.
Kairi! Come on, guys. It was an accident.
Be quiet.
See? Even he knows.
I said quiet.
He held his hand out, which stopped the entire group dead in their spot. They strained their eyes and ears to catch what got their savior all riled up. They couldn't see anything beyond the dust cloud from the impact, but they heard something, metal being moved. And then a large grunt as something shot out from the dust and into the air.
Move!
Ghost Rider shouted, grabbing Kairi and pulling her aside as everyone dived out of the way. Just in time before a car crashed down on the spot they were standing. Sending debris everywhere, yells were heard as they hit the ground, the car erupting in flames upon impact. Even with the ringing in her ears, Kairi could hear everyone call out to her.
Kairi!
Kairi! Are you okay? She wanted to answer back, but her voice didn't want to raise above a yell. One voice cut through the noise.
Are you alright?
She turned over to Ghost Rider, who was helping her on her feet, her reply hard to hear from her shaky voice.
I think so. Yeah, I'm okay.
Wanna bet?
The two of them froze as the sound of a shotgun being armed and turned to see Kane holding a pistol-grip shotgun to them. Kairi went rigid and Ghost Rider tried to put himself between the two of them.
Let her go. She's innocent.
That's exactly why I can't let her go. I need her.
With his free hand, he reached into his jacket and pulled out an orb, glowing with the warmest white light.
You asked what I wanted with all those souls. Have a look. The last thing you both see.
Ghost Rider threw himself in front of her, hoping to shield her from the blast. Kairi, snapping out of her trance, realized what he was doing.
No, don't!
Ghost Rider spun around to see Kane clutching his hand, his shotgun lying at their feet. He knew that gunshot was not from a shotgun. He followed the sound to see from the darkness a familiar flow of crimson.
Vincent!
There is no way on hell or earth that I am going to lose to a wannabe rider and a freaking vampire!
Vincent leaped into the night air, letting off more shots as he flipped. Kane barely managed to avoid being hit as he ran backwards, growling to his two attackers.
Like hell, I will lose to either of you.
He snapped his two fingers and suddenly the ground shook. Out of the concrete came bones. They flew out of the ground and began to gather in the air in a flurry. When it subsided, they saw the bones had formed into a monstrous motorcycle in the shape of a chopper model. Kane quickly got on a Marrow-like ride and shot out of the parking lot to the streets. Vincent narrowed his eyes and leaped down into the parking lot. He grabbed a crotch rocket that was sitting on the side and shot out of the parking lot to the streets.
Who was that?
Tidus exclaimed as Ghost Rider turned into the alleyway.
I've got to go after him.
Alright, we can take my ride,
Riku suggested, pulling out his car keys.
I brought mine.
His voice called out from the darkness of the alleyway.
Yours?
A loud roar was heard as the Hell Cycle shot out of the alleyway with Ghost Rider gunning the engine as fast as it goes. A trail of flames lit up the night with the trail as he shot out to the road, beginning his pursuit of Kane. Riku stared at the trail of flame, looked at his car, and back at the trail of flames.
I got to get me one of those.